flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Okay, Eric, need a second? Duncan, thank you.
Any discussion?
Yes, I have a question. The code of conduct, unfortunately, I wasn't able to start reading it till this weekend, and the way the red line was set up, I found it very confusing to tell what was being changed, what wasn't, because some of the pages were duplicated, and it was hard to follow. So I would like to move the code of conduct to not discuss it, but not have it as an action item tonight. I'd like to have more time to review it, and if it's possible to get a different kind of red line or some other depiction of what the changes are, so that I can try to cut through that confusion, make sure that I'm clear on what the differences are. So I don't know if this is the right time now to talk about it, but I assume that we'd move it from an action item if we're going to.
There's going to be the hearing first, I would imagine. Is it the proper thing, the clerk, during the action item to
You can do it during
ask
the
to be
action.
tabled
Yeah,
for next
during
time?
the action item, you
For the
can
next
table it.
Okay.
meeting.
Okay, so we'll go forward with the hearing, but then we'll ask for the action item to be tabled. Then the board can act on it, whether they want it tabled or not.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is that proper?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we have something very, very special. These lucky people. Tammy?
It's always a bittersweet time when we say goodbye to some of our retirees that have been dedicated beyond belief to the students here at the Greenville Central School. And we definitely appreciate each and every one that's retiring this year. They have done so much for Greenville, and we're sad to see them go, yet we're happy for them and the next chapter that they're beginning. Even though I know it's scary to start that next chapter, we wish them well. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Brian first, and he can start the honoring.
Good evening, everybody. It's great to see everyone here tonight. So in the middle school, it's interesting. We always, each year when we maybe have new members enter the middle school at our opening faculty meetings, we always talk about how, welcoming them as part of the middle school family. Tonight we have many years of dedicated people leaving our family. If you total up the years here for the middle school, we're talking about 115 years of commitment to Greenville here. And it's going to be sad seeing them leave Greenville Middle School, as they've been a big part of it over the years. And again, and we are a family here in the middle school. And, so I can't thank our retirees enough, with Anne Marie, Leslie, Chris, and Nancy. And then congratulations also to Eileen in the elementary schools. I see you a lot up here coaching. So at this time, though, just with Anne Marie, she's going to be very missed. She's worked very hard over her years. And one of the things with Anne Marie is that she's very always reflecting on how she continues to change her practice and make it very hands-on. All right, many students will remember doing their volcanoes, whether out in the freezing cold. You went outside and you blew up your volcanoes, all right? You erupted your volcanoes. And also just her CSI investigations, and again, always trying to make it so the kids were very engaged, enthusiastic about science, and I can't thank you enough for always wanting what's best for the students here in the middle school, and we're really going to miss you next year. So. Oh,
Elbow bumps only.
They're vaccinated.
Congratulations.
Don't go anywhere, Daphne.
so Leslie Kudlak's not here tonight, but maybe she's listening. So I can't thank Leslie enough for her many years of dedication to the middle school. When you walked into Leslie's class, you were immersed in Spanish and speaking Spanish and in the culture. You learned how to speak Spanish, all right, whether you wanted to or not. And so thank you, Leslie, for providing that great experience for our students in the middle school and high school. Also, Leslie was very committed outside of regular teaching, being part of the state organizations for foreign language here in New York State, and last year was awarded their leadership award for, as she was the president of the state organization last year. So Leslie, thank you for your many years of dedication here to Greenville, and you'll be very missed next year. Next, I'd like to recognize Nancy Lockwood, our school library media specialist. Nancy has many years here in the district, started many years at the elementary. When we experienced some tough budget times back in 2011, 2012, and had to make a lot of different cuts, Nancy was moved up here to middle school, high school, but she transitioned flawlessly. And so, we can't thank her. She's been in our old middle school, high school library and welcomed us into her new middle school, high school library here, and it is great. The things she has done. She's also been very involved outside of school, particularly in the last few years of creating a book club, and really has found another outlet for students outside of the school day, for students who just have a passion for reading. And so again, I can't thank her for her commitment to really getting our students, whether it's that first month going into the classrooms, to get them to be enthused about coming to the library. Nancy really pushed for students to keep reading. So again, thank you, Nancy, for your many years of service. Next is Mrs. Lochner, Chris Lochner. Again, someone who's been very committed to students for 33 years. Many years here, and Chris is here all the time. So she's here during the school day. She's here for all sorts of activities after school, whether working at games. She's done an awesome job over the years with our student councils and really getting the students to understand what it is to be a good citizen. So she's been an integral part of really shaping the students of Greenville, and really the whole student. We talk about that, not just the academics, but really building all sorts of character with our students, and Chris has been a big part of that for many, many, many years. So can't thank you enough. You're going to be very missed. I already know you put your sub letter in, and that goes for everyone else. Make sure that hopefully you'll sub next year. We'd love to see you back in the building. So thank you, Chris Lochner.
Hi, everyone. I get the privilege of speaking about someone who has served our district for 35 plus years. She's run the program called Jump Rope for Heart at the elementary school for 3 to 5-year-olds for grades 3 through 5 for 20 plus years. And that program has earned over $100,000. So she's really been an inspiration in that way. She also is part of doing an inspirational elementary school PE program, which is focused on movement and joy. She's coached for many years, and she has over 400 plus wins. That's just what she's done since she's been here. I think she was hired back in 1984. I know that because that's kind of when I was coming out and going as well. But more than what somebody does, more inspirational is who they are. So Eileen Kiefer, she's focused on community. She believes in the school district. She believes in the students here. And she cares and she advocates for our students at all times, from the very young to our older teenagers. And that's inspirational. She's a passionate professional. COVID hit this year. She said, oh no, we're still going to do a lot of things for our kids.
The program down at the elementary school this year with her and her colleagues was inspirational. She's a fierce friend to those who call her friend and to those she calls friend. She's a colleague to everyone. So she doesn't pick and choose, doesn't matter. It's not just the PE people, her PE professionals that she's collegial with. It's everybody from the high school all the way down through the elementary. She's a role model. She's a role model for our kids. She's a role model for all of us, including myself. She's very welcoming and very honest. So there are times, her honesty, she's been very honest with me, and I admire that in somebody. She's a mentor for everybody. So not only our students, like I said, some of her younger colleagues, the PE staff that are coming up, they are benefiting from her tutelage and her mentoring. And I said it before, she's an inspiration for everybody. She inspires me. She inspires her colleagues. She inspires students, just everyone. She epitomizes what it means to be a Lady Spartan. I'm so proud of her. So, thank you for inspiring our students. Thank you for inspiring our students, school community, and community at large. She's going to be missed. Can't imagine this school district without her.
Let's go extra innings.
Congratulations. Oh.
Picture.
Congratulations, everyone. Next on the agenda is the Code of Conduct hearing.
So we've advertised the hearing. This is a time if there's anyone from the public who has anything that they would like to share or ask of the board concerning the Code of Conduct. The committee met twice. We also had our school attorney review it in its entirety and make suggestions. And so this is the Code of Conduct that we've put before the board. I don't know if there's any.
I don't have anything. I do, if it's okay, respond to Jay, your question. So the red line copy is an identical copy of what we already have. So any change whatsoever, whether things be moved or is in that original or in that copy.
Well, what was confusing was it looked like some of the pages were duplicated, and the text on one page could be different than the text on the second page.
Okay.
And I think I understood what the actual changes were, but it wasn't entirely clear because of that duplication.
I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
Jay, I also found it difficult. I asked Stephanie to print it out because I just couldn't do it on the screen. And what I found was that if you separated them into two, because there were duplicates, the original one, it's like the pages moved and then they didn't line up. So if you literally separated, page one, page two, and then you went through the document where the number was underlined in black, then you could follow it. Well, basically read both of them, but that separate one where it's underlined was easier than to follow. So I don't know if that helps, but.
Okay. Thanks, Tracy.
You didn't use your own printer to print them out?
It was 70 pages, no.
Jay, are you going to make a motion to table the action, or, because I'll be honest, I did not have time to digest the,
So the action item is later.
okay, right, so you want to,
We'll wait till we get to that.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
All righty. Open forum. 30-minute open forum is the time the board sets aside to hear comments from the public. It's an opportunity for residents to voice their general concerns or compliments, especially about items on the agenda. However, it's not the time to register complaints about specific individuals or about items that should be addressed confidentially through the proper channels. Don't know if we have any.
I don't have any raised hands or
Any,
nothing in my email.
anybody?
No.
Nothing? Okay. Well, there'll be an opportunity at the close of the meeting for any other comments. CTE recognition and program update.
We'll turn it over to Todd to
Todd.
make introductions.
Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here tonight for two things. First is CTE Focus, and then the second is our alternative learning program, the STRONG program. So we're going to start with the CTE presentation. If I can ask our CTE teachers to come up. They can stand in front of the banner, since the banner is really for them. And I will add some context and some information. So 3 years ago, State Ed set out to revamp and change how CTE looks at the middle level. And a very small snapshot of that was it provided more flexibility of how the CTE, and when I say CTE, that's career and technical education, how those requirements are met at the middle level. So 3 years ago, our CTE department went above and beyond and really started brainstorming how they could potentially do things a little differently. So when we started that work, there were four main things we wanted to accomplish. One, develop an engaging and relevant project-based CTE curriculum for students in grades 6 through 8, to utilize the expertise and strengths of our CTE department teachers, which there are many, offer a middle school program that leads and connects into our high school program offerings, and to start with one cohort and have the changes roll up with that cohort so that it wasn't too much change happening all at once. So during the 18-19 school year, for the first time, our 6th grade students had this new experience of a changed way of doing CTE and really focusing on a more project-based approach. Part of that work was partnering with the Technical Assistance Center and one of their staff members, Dawn Mastrioni, who did a tremendous amount of work guiding and steering and also giving a lot of guidance or suggestions of how to do this. So after our first year of implementation with these changes, we were encouraged by Dawn to apply for their Model Schools program. So here are some thoughts from the Technical Assistance Center. Their program recognizes high-quality CTE programs at the middle grades and at the secondary level. Their programs assess 5 domains. So when we put in an application for this recognition, we were assessed on 5 different domains: curriculum instruction and assessment, business and community partnerships and connections, articulation, that connection between middle school and high school, facilities and equipment, and then student organization opportunities. Some specific information for Greenville. Greenville's middle level CTE program is the only CTE middle school program in the state that was honored with this recognition. And the program was highly regarded here at Greenville by Dawn and often spoken about across the state with other CTE departments because she valued the work that our department had done. So last spring, we received notification that our middle school CTE program met the requirements and was recognized by the CTE Technical Assistance Center as a model program. While we've shared the information before, we wanted to take some time and an opportunity tonight to do a formal recognition. This hectic year kind of got away from us of doing this formal presentation, but as we end this year, we really wanted to celebrate our CTE program and the work that has been done at that middle level. So I'm going to introduce Ms. Dee Lewis, who is the department chair for CTE. We have Melissa Seberg, who is our family and consumer science teacher, and Linda Esposito, who is our business teacher, and Mr. John Kerner, who is our high school tech teacher. Ms. Lewis is also our tech teacher. Forgot to mention that, sorry. So again, just wanted to take an opportunity tonight to recognize the incredible work that has gone into this, and the fact that we are the one middle school program in the state that received this honor, I think is very noteworthy of the work that they have done, and applaud them for it. So thank you. In addition to that, we're going to keep with the CTE theme. We're going to give a couple of updates in the realm of CTE. So I'm going to start with Ms. Lewis. We have started work this year of aligning our ag pathway at the high school to get approval through SED as an approved CTE pathway. So I was going to ask her to just give a little update on what some of that work has been. And then Mr. Kerner is going to give an update on some coursework that he's doing at the high school level.
Before Dee speaks, I just want to hop in real quick and add one other thing. That's all right. No, this group of people have worked very hard over the last couple of years, and actually last spring, a few weeks before COVID actually hit and shut us down, I kind of asked them if they would go present at a New York State Middle Schools Principals Conference, which it's principals from all across New York State who come to this annually, and they're always looking for presenters of kind of new things that are going on, of how to continue to engage students in middle school, and they did a great job going and presenting. So I can't thank them enough for just taking those risks and being willing to take on new challenges and make things, again, as best as they possibly can for our students here in Greenville. So again, thank you so much. And again, going and presenting to those principals of, like I said, from all over New York State is a little, scary at times, but they did an awesome job. So thank you.
I hate the mask. So as Todd said, we were in a 3-year lead-in to changing from the old technology middle school to CTE 6, 7, and 8. So the first year we started with the 6th graders. They moved from tech and ag to the middle school where they did business and facts, and Linda and Melissa did a great job with the whole food truck idea. And then this year I got them with COVID. It was supposed to be a half-year ag and a half-year tech, but ended up being a quarter-year ag and a quarter-year tech taught twice so that I could do it both times. And I don't think I did such a great job with the first half of the year, but I did a banner job the second half of the year. So, and the numbers show it because all of our tech classes have more kids in them signed up for next year than we really can teach. So whatever we're doing, I guess we're doing a good job at it. And Mr. Kerner is going to talk a little bit about an exciting new thing that he's doing. And the other thing that we're doing, Lynn was supposed to talk about, so I'm going to do it kind of off the cuff because I've sort of put this in her lap since I'm going to be retiring next year, is getting CTE certification for our ag program. We've been trying to do this for a number of years. That's one more layer of certification that the students will be able to get in agricultural areas. So we've been working with I don't know who Ree is, Basilico. Okay, I know where's Ree. She's really animated, fantastic woman that is going to walk us through the certification process. Because we're all technology and ag teachers, we're grandfathered in as CTE, able to teach CTE for the certification. And right now we're working on doing it in the animal sciences, and that would incorporate a test, a state test at the end, and if they pass the state test, they will get that certification certificate, which they can take one more layer of proof that they're a good student, and they, especially if they go on to agriculture in one of the ag and tech colleges across the state, it will be one more feather in their cap. So we're really excited about this. Todd's been working with us. It was his idea to push this finally after we've been asking for it for years, but we really just didn't know how to get the process. He found Ree, turned her over to us. She's fantastic. We're working with her. So we're hoping next year that we'll be able to start with the animal sciences and then go from there to maybe the natural resources. There's a whole process you have to go through, so we're going to start small, but hopefully we'll grow so that eventually everything that we teach in our curriculum in ag and tech can be CTE certified. So, Mr. Kerner, would you like to talk about your exciting new proposal?
Hi, I'm John Kerner. So it's funny in life how sometimes the littlest things can lead to you never know what. About 2 months ago in one of my classes, a young lady who was in my class said, "You know, Mr. Kerner, in Coxsackie, they build a go-kart every year." I said, "Oh, really?" I'd love to do that, but I didn't think that was even something we could, So I followed up, and I'm meeting someone named Kyle Crawford, who's a teacher out at Coxsackie. And he was all excited. He said, "It's funny you called me because I was just getting ready to send an email out to tech teachers in the area because I would love to start," he said, "a kind of a league where we all build go-karts And then we do time trials and race them. And he informed me of the fact that they have a track already built out at their school, and they're putting in bleachers next. So I went and visited him and saw their classrooms and stuff, and was very impressed by that. And followed up with my administration. Todd's been super supportive and felt it was a great idea. And I probably don't have to tell you that the students that have heard about it, because I've told them, you know, I said, I can't promise you we're going to do it, but I'm trying. They're beating down my door to get in the class. So I don't need to explain to you why this is a good idea, because they're beating down the door. Okay. So we're going to call it Motorsports Technology. We're going to offer 2 sections instead of the traditional number 1, or just 1 section. And it's kind of an evolution in a way. In the past, we've always offered something called material processing, which the lion's share of which was welding. Plasma cutting was involved in that and some other things. But the first half of the year, that was the second half, the first half of the year was small engine. And small engine, simply as a thing to be studied on a table, well, okay, it's all right, but it's really not terribly dynamic. And there are other problems I won't take your time up with regarding that. But now to take small engine and material processing, we're going to combine them now. And in motorsports technology, we will order the materials and build this go-kart from scratch. So students who come through the door, having never read a ruler, and believe me, that's not rare, it's what I expect now, will learn how to take raw materials, measure them according to directions that we have. Kyle Crawford in Coxsackie has been very helpful with this and continues to kind of mentor me in this area. And they'll learn how to take those materials, get them to the right shape through the use of tools, and then we'll get into the welding right away. But everything now is with a purpose. Everything now is because we're going to build the go-kart, not just studying something for the sake of learning about it, which is different. And everybody needs that kind of motivation to really reach their peak enthusiasm, I think. It's more normal. It's more real. So that's what we're doing, is creating this new class, which is a bit of an evolution and a more interesting sort of relevant blending of what we were doing before, culminating in really getting to know the other schools and setting up a little bit of, some camaraderie that way through racing, time trials. Don't picture like 4 or 5 go-karts on a track. It's one at a time. Stuff like that. So anyway, that's what we're doing.
Good.
Yeah.
What grades are the students? They're in high school, but is it 9 through 12?
Yeah. Yeah, 9 through 12. That's me, 9 through 12. Yeah, yes.
We have the opportunity to get some needed equipment and or whatever with the federal funds that are available. Have you taken advantage of asking for input?
Well, I haven't overtly. I will. I frankly don't kind of know how to proceed in that area so well, but I've got Todd, who I know is, good. Todd's. I will. No, that we've got. But yeah, we'll. One of our challenges is we're really trying to do a lot in a space that's somewhat limited. We can make it work, but organization is going to be the key. And the district has been very supportive in getting me what I need when I don't have it, and helping me to sort of rearrange things. And they've given me a lot of free rein and trusted my judgment. And, Yeah, Diane also knows the things I don't know. Yeah. Anything? Yeah?
I just wanted to mention that the food cart idea was also fabulous. And what I heard through the students was just their excitement because it was tangible. It wasn't just, oh, I'm learning about business, but it's from when you were doing logo development and everything else. It's, again, it was packaged beautifully and you got the learning in. Thank you.
6 or 7 years from when, last year was the first year before that. 6 or 7 years from there, when they graduate from high school, we're going to have food trucks everywhere in Greene County.
Exactly, right.
They all want to be in the town park.
Do they need permits? Was that part of the lesson? Thank you.
Any other questions? Anything CTE? Thank you. And thank you to our CTE teachers for coming tonight.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
It's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now I got one comment.
Yes.
I didn't see anything in the local papers about the Indiana school and the state get that.
I'm listening, Duncan, yes.
Okay. Do we beat our own drum enough? How do we get that out?
Good question. So last year when we originally got the notification, which was probably just about a year ago, it was last June, we put out a press release and publicized it locally. That piece of being the only school that was recognized, I didn't know until probably halfway through this year when they let me know that they actually, last year was the last year of the recognition program, so they're not recognizing any new schools currently. That doesn't mean a couple years down the road they might not start it back up. But through last year's cycle, we were the only middle school program that was approved. So we can certainly put something out again of just recognizing the work that's been done.
How about flying a plane over? I mean,
We have a banner now.
There are probably 800 or 900 middle schools in the state. There's over 700 school districts, about 700 school districts.
Tucker, I think what's important to remember too, though, is that we work closely with people in state ed who really push that word out there among other schools, either to try to reach out to us. Like I said, from that middle school principals conference we went to, I had some principals reach out to us after that for just some stuff that we were doing, because CTE trying to teach it in middle school has become complicated with certifications, and we've been very fortunate that it's continued to work well for us, but there are some schools who really struggle with some of the certifications for it. So we're very fortunate that we're hitting all those areas and providing student exposure to help support the electives at the high school. But again, I think the state ed has that out there, and I think among schools, I mean, they will point in a direction towards us.
Yeah, but I'm more interested in our community knowing it to that, to the level that, it yells out for.
A press release. A press release. Yeah.
Yep. So I think now that we've had the formal recognition here at the board level, we can certainly put out another press release of just letting people know and that added piece.
If we can do it, it'd be great.
Absolutely. We'll make it happen.
We like those words.
All right, shifting gears to a different program is our RTI Tier 3 Learning Center, which is a mouthful, better known as our STRONG program. So I'm going to give some opening information, but then I have a group with me tonight that's each going to take a piece of sharing some information about this program. I'll start with introductions. Everybody knows myself and Dan. Matt Ward is also going to share a piece. He's here virtually. With us, we have two teachers, Johanna Witt, who is the social studies teacher in the program, Jen Bergault, who is the ELA teacher in the program, Jess Coons, who is the TA connected to the program, and Mr. Black, who is a graduating senior from the program, who will share a student perspective tonight. So last year, also around this time, or maybe more into July, we shared with the board our idea of shifting our previous alt-ed program known as ALP, Whole Student Learning Center. It had several different names over the years, but shifting that from a program that was connected with Questar, bringing it all in-house as a fully Greenville designed program. And this is now a year later. We want to share some of the information and how this first year has gone under this new structure, under this new model. The actual paperwork or process that we use for this is the Instructional Program Initiative process. So we shared with the board more detailed information, including some very specific data that is connected to how the first year has gone. Just like state ed, when you have a subgroup or a population of students that's less than 30, we don't publicly publish that data because it's identifiable to those individual students because it is such a small group. But I just want to mention the board has some of that more detailed information. If you have questions about that, we can certainly get you answers to any questions you have about that after tonight. Let's see. And then the group that's joining me tonight, we're going to start with some just overview information from Mr. Hash and Mr. Ward. And then we're going to go through the student perspective, sharing with you strengths of the program, and then some challenges this year that were encountered, and some thoughts and planning that will be taking place to prepare for next school year. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hash.
Good evening. As a reminder, RTI is the process of providing high-quality instruction and interventions that are matched to student need, monitoring progress frequently to make decisions about changes in instruction or goals, and applying student data to important educational decisions. This process can be applied to academics as well as behavior needs, as poor academic skills in school can predict a wide range of behavior problems, as students who have difficulties academically may find problem behavior as an effective means to escaping or avoiding. As a reminder, we think of the tiers most often in the pyramid form. This first tier serves as the base of the pyramid and relies on the use of high-quality instruction and research-based techniques to support the majority of our students. The group size that commonly finds success within this level of intervention is 80 to 85% of the total population. Those students who, based on available data, continue to struggle are provided a more targeted intervention. The group size that commonly finds the need for the second tier of intervention is 10 to 15% of our total population. If those students who have advanced to Tier 2 support continue to struggle after sustained intervention, we again revise the intervention and work to increase time spent with the intervention and decrease total group size. It's estimated that roughly 5 to 7% of the total population will have the need of this type of intervention. Tier 3 support at Greenville High School is a bit different as we take the whole student approach to supporting these students. So we began to set criteria for students entering the STRONG program. We focused on reviewing multiple years of data in 3 primary areas: attendance, behavioral infractions, and academics. We then layered in additional factors including family history and teacher anecdotal data to finalize a group of prospective students. These families were then called by an administrator and the program was discussed in regards to how we saw it best benefiting their child. These conversations were either followed up with an informational email or families connected directly with our STRONG teachers to discuss. This year, for instance, we held a virtual coffee hour with families so that they could ask specific questions. Mr. Ward will now share additional information about the shift from our previous ALP program to the STRONG program.
Thank you, Dan. Good evening, everyone. So prior to, I'm getting a really big echo. Is that from the, oh, that's better. Prior to the school year, the Alternative Learning Program was a shared service between Greenville and Questar 3 BOCES. Greenville students entered ALP either in their junior or senior year. I'm just going to give you a little background to where the students, where this program started and how we ended up where we are with the STRONG program. So of these juniors and senior students, they were identified late in their high school career, and they were usually behind in credits, possibly behavior problems, or maybe on their way to dropping out. This program, ALP, served as an opportunity for students to work on credit recovery as a path to graduation. In August of 2019, a program review was done by Questar 3 that identified a number of areas that the ALP program could improve upon. These areas included structure in the day in the form of leadership and use of data to place students in this program, academic and behavioral expectations, improving ALP students' feeling of being isolated because they were in the same room all day. Also provide opportunities for the ALP teachers to regularly collaborate with teachers outside of this program. Having academic routines with expectations for all students to follow. An SEL component to the program to teach and promote healthy habits with a more supportive classroom culture. And a program guide or handbook that identified the program mission, vision, and goals. So we took this review by Questar 3 to help us in our planning of this new program. So, and Todd mentioned this earlier, that at a July board meeting last summer, he, Mr. Hash, and myself presented about how we wanted to use this program review to better serve Greenville students. This was the perfect opportunity to revamp the old ALP program to be the new STRONG program. During this process, we visited a number of alternative programs in other districts to help us determine what would be the right fit here in Greenville. And the new Strong program would take a proactive approach rather than a reactive approach. And that was a real big factor in our planning. So a number of the factors that helped in the transition from the old ALP to the new Strong program. At the top of this list was breaking away from Questar 3 as a partner. Along with teacher retirement from the program, that allowed us to change and hire new staff. COVID actually aided in the transition of being only 11th and 12th graders integrating to 9th and 10th grade students into the program. So this was the first time that we were having 9th and 10th grade students in this program. It was a fresh start. Many of the 11th grade and 12th grade students stayed remote, which provided the adults in the room the opportunity to establish new norms and expectations without any students who would have remembered the former ALP. It also allowed the freshmen and sophomore students to acclimate to their new environment without older students in the room. And then from my perspective as always hearing the good, the bad, and the ugly, parents will call and let me know their feelings pretty regularly. I have to say the parent engagement this past year has been very encouraging for this program. I've received phone calls from parents that are excited and thankful for the relationships their students have developed with the adults in the program. Students want to come to school that are in this program, and nearly all of the students that are in the Strong program have been went from the hybrid model to everyday students. Lastly, I would just say that when we interviewed for this position and thought about new people in this program, it always came back to relationships. The three women that are in that room that are, I'm going to pass this off to in just a minute. Jess, Johanna, and Jen, the three J's, they've done a phenomenal job this year, connecting with students, keeping parents informed, and most importantly, keeping students engaged in a really difficult year. So with that, I'm going to pass it off to Jen Borgalt, and she can give you a little bit more detailed information about this year's program.
Hello, everyone. The Strong program offers Tier 3 instruction and support to students grades 9 through 12. Our staff consists of 2 full-time content area teachers, ELA and social studies, and our teaching assistant, who's also full-time. We also work closely with the school counselors, a special education teacher, and school psychologist. For core instruction, our students are scheduled into Strong English and social studies classes. They attend the rest of their classes outside our program. As students' schedules allow, they are scheduled into Strong Lab for additional academic support. This time is often used to support students in their other classes outside of our program. In addition to the lab, students are scheduled into our homeroom at the end of the day. We utilize this time to help students with academics and organization, as well as social emotional learning activities. Another component of our program is credit recovery through APEX. APEX is a self-guided, self-paced computer program that allows students to complete their course credit requirements for graduation. At this time, I'd like to introduce Kieran Black, one of our 7 graduating seniors, to speak about his experience in the Strong program.
Thank you. So all throughout high school, I've struggled with my grades and getting my work in on time. And this is actually the first year that I've been on top of my work at all times throughout the year. And a lot of that is help from APEX, which let me work at my own pace to get the work done whenever I felt. And if I didn't make it to school some days, I could stay home and do it right there on my computer. And it's a very easy to use program. And in the Strong room, the teachers work very well together, almost like a family. And it's a very comfortable environment, but they're still on our backs to make sure that we get our work done.
Good.
They also keep us motivated through the Remind app, calling and emailing our parents, and they've even contacted my recruiter a few times. Because there are 3 teachers in the room and not a lot of kids, everybody gets individual attention, which helps us stay focused, and we all get to know each other very well. And I'm very grateful for the Strong program for supporting me and making sure that I reach my goal on graduating and becoming a United States Marine. Thank you.
So some of the strengths that we've really seen in the Strong program this year is at the very beginning, we actually moved forward and we created a handbook for the program. In this handbook, it outlines the program overview, protocols, and expectations for everyone involved, including staff, students, and parents for both daily and the year. Another strength has been building strong relationships with students in a safe and welcoming environment. We get to know the students as people, including likes, dislikes, hobbies, interests, and goals. We hang up work around the classroom with designated refrigerator spaces, aka our bulletin boards, that allow students to see their accomplishments on display in the classroom. There are celebrations throughout the year for achievements such as birthdays and holidays. Furthermore, we have communication with parents to help know what is happening in their personal lives that will impact the students' school lives, as well as having parents encourage their students to come to school because of the environment we have created. Furthermore, we have allowed students with great potential to thrive in a smaller setting. This includes students who may not feel comfortable speaking up in a larger classroom to have conversations. It also allows for individualized attention of students during class time to ensure understanding and allow for extended question times. We collaborate and communicate with other content area teachers to provide an additional layer of support. We are included in the Google Classrooms of the other classroom teachers such as algebra, science, and art classes. It allows for our ability to reteach or expand on the information provided in the other classes to ensure understanding and success. This also provides a real-time account of assignments to help students learn time management skills. We are able to tailor academic, social, emotional, and organizational support to meet the needs of individual students. By having small classes, it allows for us to create materials to meet students where they are and help them grow from there. Each student has different growth patterns and different needs, and we are able to individualize for that.
So we have some challenges that we faced this year, one of which was identifying and addressing student skill deficits. Not being able to see our students daily due to remote learning has posed a big challenge to identifying and monitoring academic skills. In-person learning is the preferred model and a more beneficial option for our students. We did halfway through have a lot of kids switch over to full-time in-person, and that was really an amazing experience. Moving forward for next year, we will put together a more structured approach to track and monitor academic development and skills. It has also been difficult to separate issues that are a result of the pandemic versus other social emotional issues we would see outside of the pandemic. Moving forward next year, we plan to put into place a growth mindset curriculum targeting special social emotional needs. We were able to integrate some group growth mindset work with Jessica Jones, our guidance counselor intern this year. The kids responded so well to that, and they benefited from that. Every week they look forward to when Mrs. Jones was coming in. It was a really wonderful experience. Another challenge we faced was parent engagement. The main issue there was being able to meet with them in a remote setting. Next year, we plan to find additional ways to engage parents as a part of our STRONG team by meeting with parents more regularly, preferably in person, and by including them in our future celebrations. Another challenge is perception of the program. Many of our colleagues are confused as to what the new model of the program is and are still under the impression that it is the old model. We plan to share out with our colleagues at a faculty meeting the benefits of the program and the successes we have had this year. We would like the STRONG program to be viewed as an opportunity instead of it being perceived as a place to go when you fail or fall behind. Our program is a place to build up the skills the students have and for them to grow academically. Moving forward, we plan to share the benefits of the STRONG program with our school community. Thank you.
So as you can see, the idea of relationships, I hope, comes through in all of this as well. As Matt mentioned in the beginning, so much of our conversations last summer was making sure we were building a program of relationships and team. And I applaud the three ladies that are here tonight because they have embraced that and truly come at everything with this team approach of how they can work together to solve the problems and the challenges that they've faced, and have really set themselves up for, okay, here are things we've identified this year. We know next year we want to be even more structured in how we track what our students' academic goals are. We want to be more proactive of how we get parent engagement in our program. So again, I hope you see that throughout this presentation and get the sense, because that is really at the heart of this program and the success that it's had this year. Are there any questions for any of us about the STRONG program?
No questions. Young man, I apologize. I did not get your name.
My name is Kieran Black.
Kieran?
Yes, sir.
You're very well spoken tonight. I appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
You mind asking or answering a couple questions?
No problem.
What was your main issue, do you think, when you were a freshman? Were attendance?
Just kind of
Lack of interest in
trying to
school?
keep on myself to get my work done.
Okay.
I've had Miss Esposito for a lot of my high school year or career, and she was a major help.
Yeah. So this built on what she was able to do for you, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
You don't have to call me sir. I'm just a boy.
He's going into the Marines. Yes, sir.
He can do that when he gets it. Can you imagine yourself speaking at a board meeting when you were a freshman or a sophomore? I mean,
not at all.
Right. So the fact that you're able to do that speaks well for this program, because you're a product of it, and you should be proud of that. What other classes, I'm interested in, what other classes did you take that were not in the STRONG program, where you had to go outside into the building?
The only class was PE for a little bit.
Okay.
And senior seminar. I think senior seminar, but then that all got put into Apex. So
all right.
I was there all day, or from the time I got to school until I went to Questar.
And with Apex, you apparently really liked using that, right?
Yes.
All the courses are offered in that?
As far
as the courses that you needed?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah. What was your favorite course in that?
Probably, I think government it was.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Very good. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I was going to kind of repeat some of what Dave said, which thank you for coming. You did speak very well. Appreciate hearing from someone who's been in it, like now, in addition to hearing from teachers. So thank you. And also congratulations and good luck. Thank you.
For the record, I'd be the fourth boy to go in the service from this family. And there is sibling rivalry, I know that.
Navy, Navy.
Well, he did join the Navy, just the Marine Corps, so the men's department.
Right, his brother's Navy.
And we worked together a lot at the Legion. He was always very helpful as a young man, and all of his brothers, just like him, outstanding young lads. And they were a lot of help around the Legion for many events. I wish him nothing but the best, and you did a great job today. Keep it up.
Todd, the teacher load for the teachers that are in this program, are they solely dedicated to Strong, or they rotate in and out?
Nope, they're solely dedicated to the program.
Okay, yeah. And the student, I know you probably mentioned this, but the total number of students that are in the program is?
So this year it was 17.
Okay, that's,
Looking to go up to somewhere maybe towards 25. Our goal, or our cap in the original proposal was 32. I think if we ever got to a place where it was 8 per grade level, I don't see us ever going over that number.
yeah, I hope
Next
not,
year,
because,
adding additional students, looking at 25. Correct? Okay.
you know, if you keep it small, you'll have your returns. If you go higher, you'll have diminished returns, I think.
My question is more to you guys. What did you learn from this year that you're going to adapt for future years? If anything.
I think a big thing that we've learned is just the ability of how to really refine our practices on the fly, because everything has been so fluid this year, and not knowing, I don't know, do I need a mic? Not knowing
For you too.
what the mood of the students or how they're going to come in on any given day. Some days we have this plan set out of like, great, we're going to tackle this today. And it's like, okay, we're not. We need to focus on social emotional today. Like it's very much that we have this year very much learned to think on the fly more frequently than I think we ever have in the past.
And I think the establishing the connections with the kids early on, building the rapport, has helped us to read them and them to read us on any given day, and just kind of know what direction we need to go in with individuals or the entire group. So that's been helpful.
What I heard from you earlier, though, was a discussion or a reference to how more involved the parents have been. And I was wondering if, the basis of my question was, were you going to try to reach out even in a different way, or even more, get more involvement from the parents?
Yes, absolutely. We want to try to include the parents more in, because we do have celebrations for academic achievements and such. And so we really want to bring those parents in to allow them to see the achievements as well. So they're not just the group of students who gets the quote-unquote negative phone calls home. We want them to have more and more of those positive phone calls home of, wow, this was a fantastic achievement.
I think one of you mentioned, I think it was this young lady mentioned that the feedback had been really positive. That my question came from that, and whether or not we need to reach out differently, or it seemed to me it was always, she didn't say it, but it sounded to me like you were saying this was always considered to be some kind of a slap in the face to the students and to the parents, and that somehow you had transitioned it into a thank you, and you know, this is really what my student needed. I'm just wondering, I was wondering if you're going to try to leverage that in some way, like using those parents, if they were willing to talk to some parents who might be a little less ready to accept that maybe this is the best price for their student.
And I think that's a great idea, actually. I'm listening to you. You know, we had Kieran come tonight, and in the future, I would love to have parents come and talk about their perspective of the program and the partnership that they've felt with our program. So I think that's an ongoing, and we're when we reflect daily on our program, hourly, you know, these are all things that we are trying to figure out better ways to engage, and hopefully being in person and allowing parents into the building next year will definitely help in that area.
So you want to speak to the parents already for next year?
Yeah.
What Hannah's gonna say.
Yeah, we did make an effort as early as possible this year to reach out to parents of those students who fit our criteria. talk to them. The team was gracious enough to do a virtual coffee hour where we had a couple parents stop by and ask questions. What we're also realizing, though, is how much we have to sell this to students themselves. Some of the students going into this program are left to make a lot of decisions themselves, where a parent who I will contact will say, yeah, I think this is great. I think this is exactly what my student needs. I'm going to ask them and let them make the decision. When that happens, we are asking a student to go into a program that is different from what their friends are going into. When you go into high school, that's probably the last thing most kids want. I have to go away from my peers. I have to be in a separate program. This program has a separate name, as great as the name is. I can't believe it's actually stuck, but you know, all of these things come through and say, how can we convince the students that they want to be a part of this program? So when we talk about convincing parents, that's a huge piece, but also reaching out to students like Kieran and saying, Kieran, can you give us a video? Can you talk to students about how important this program is if you want to achieve, if you want to graduate, if you want to complete, if you want to join the military? We need your voice to sell this to our incoming 9th graders. And that is a huge factor, especially because of all the attributes some of these students come in with, where they are left to make these choices themselves. And if we are asking an incoming 9th grader to make this very important choice to start their high school career, we want them to be informed by their peers so that they're making a good decision for themselves.
Thank you. And thanks again to our strong team members for coming tonight. Appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
What did we say?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from May 4th, May 10th, May 18th, and June the 1st.
Eric and Duncan?
Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the finance reports.
Tracy, second?
Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to accept the Committee on Special Education recommendations.
Jay and Dave?
Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
Eric, and a second? Tracy?
Any discussion?
Yeah, I have some discussion.
Yes, sir.
Only one simple question, Pat. It probably goes to Tammy. On some of these positions, and I don't know, seems like I asked the same question last year, but it's maybe senior moment. Like if it's a committee assignment or a department chairman or a co-advisor, are the same people, do they have seniority? And then how does because I believe in change, how does someone else get on a committee or strive for a different position?
So the appointments with the stipends, they are posted annually, and that's under Aaron. So that depends on who puts in letters of interest.
Okay.
It's not an automatic that it goes to them.
Renewal.
For sports, I think the contract does say that consideration is given to who currently has it if they're still interested in it.
Okay.
Is that accurate? For athletic ones. And for committees, some of the committees are chosen by union representation.
Okay.
We have been trying to broaden that definitely over the years. And the new, it requires some turnover, or at least elections every 2 years for the shared decision-making. So we are trying. I would say over the last couple of years, we've definitely had a broader aspect on the committees, probably not as much with team leaders and department chairs.
That gives me a thought. I wondered if, I don't know if this is gonna handcuff us, but I wonder if we had, maybe it is in the policy, but if we had a policy on these committees that you have a term limit, and then you must step aside for a period of time, in order to almost govern turnover, thus new ideas.
We could look at the ones that don't require union
Right.
appointments.
All that set aside,
And I would say because we're a small school, sometimes we're lucky to get
Right.
the members that we currently have. So I would not want to limit and say 2 and you're done. And sometimes they're a great committee member and we're thankful.
okay, right, all
So
right.
I would probably keep it a little flexible.
That's a good perspective.
And just encourage more membership.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
But Tammy, is there a process if someone is interested?
There's been different processes, so if it's union, usually the union president will send out saying there are vacancies in these spots, please let me know if you're interested. So they are requesting interest. Sometimes, like technology where you really want to get someone who has that knowledge, you'll go around and you'll ask someone who you believe would be good on the committee, would they consider being a member?
Okay.
So it's done different ways.
Aye.
Aye.
Approve the 21-22 Board of Education calendar.
Jay and Eric?
Any discussion on the calendar? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now approve the code of conduct. We're going to,
Daphne, do they have to make a motion to
I
approve
think-
it?
I
And
think
then
what
that
we'll-
is when,
And then
And then the
somebody
discussion.
needs to do is say, I move that the pending motion be postponed until June 28th.
Okay.
so I think you still have to ask for a motion.
And
And
then do a
that's when.
discussion.
I need a motion to approve it,
All right, Eric and Tracy?
and then the discussion.
And that would be,
And now I'll make a motion to postpone action on the pending motion until June 28th.
Yep. Mhm.
Okay, and a second on that? Tracy? Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'd also like to add, as far as discussion goes, that when I looked at the document for the hearing, it was very hard to read.
Okay.
Going to the document that was just discussed now in the approval section, without the red line, I could read it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if they were the same.
It's actually all of the changes that were made, that would be the fresh document in the one that's in the agenda for the action item. The other one, I didn't have my hands in that one, and there was a little bit of an issue with, it came from the attorney, and something had happened with the red line agreement, or with the red line document. So I will take the 2 last year's and this one in here, and I'll do a word compare, and let me see what that looks like.
Well, yeah, can I make a suggestion? On the
Sure.
28th, if we're gonna act on this, let it be a clean
Oh, absolutely.
document that exactly what we're gonna vote on.
Right, we don't need the red line.
Right.
all right, so
I
you
don't-
have that already. That's
Right.
under the approval
That's-
one, is the clean document that you're voting on.
Right.
So do you want to see you want to see the red line one where the changes were made?
If possible, yes.
Okay.
And I'll look at the clean too.
Okay.
And, I realize we just essentially tabled the motion, but can we still talk about the code of conduct now? Or we pass that? So I do have one question about the code, and that's, the code of conduct it defines discrimination. And I think the definition is okay, but we also have a separate policy. It's a Title IX policy that has a different definition of discrimination. I think it covers the same points, but it's different. I mean, I would recommend, why not use the same definition of discrimination throughout policies? Is there a reason not to? Rather than have it being defined differently in different places and potentially creating an inconsistency.
It should be the
Basically,
the
you're
same.
saying
but we'll-
adopt the federal guideline of discrimination.
What I'm saying is the Code of Conduct defines discrimination one way. Our Title IX policy describes it differently. Right, we can't change the federal.
So you're saying move the federal definition into the code of conduct?
Yes.
Can we look at that?
Yep.
That's a good point.
Thanks.
Yeah, I didn't.
And final comment, Tammy, I know you'd said that previously, I think you'd taken comments that Tracy and I had given you before. I saw some of those changes were in there. So
Yeah,
thank you for,
right. They went to Jeff. Yep.
thank you for keeping that in mind and following up on it.
You're welcome.
We've already voted on that, right?
Yeah.
We need to approve the transfer to capital reserve.
Okay, Eric? And second? I need Dave, thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You in agreement for that, Dave?
I do go and agree with it.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve transfers to the New York State Teachers Retirement System Reserve Subfund and the New York State LRS Retirement Contribution Reserve Fund.
Okay, I saw Duncan and Ray, okay.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the resolution of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District of the State of New York for the purpose of entering into a contract for cooperative educational services for the computer lease purchase.
Okay, I have Eric, so I need a second. Duncan, thank you.
Any discussion?
This is our one-to-one program, correct?
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the resolution of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District of the State of New York for the purpose of entering into a contract for cooperative educational services, computer lease purchase.
Oh, wait, we just did that one.
I already did that.
Oh,
8.13.
All right. Forget that. I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and Four Winds Saratoga for 21-22.
Actually, if we're okay with it, we could probably do, if anybody doesn't have any objection, we can do 8.14, 8.15,
Okay.
and 8.16.
Okay, the next one would be Wildwood program, Wildwood Summer Extension Program, and the Northeast Parent and Child Society,
They're all tuition ones.
and
Health and welfare.
North Greenbush Central School District.
Okay, Tracy and Eric, thank you.
Discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I need a motion to approve to extend the contract between the Greenville Central School District and Higher Physical Therapy for services from July 1st, 21 to June 30th, 22.
Okay, Eric and Jay,
Any discussion on that?
What do they do for us?
This is physical therapy for special ed students,
Oh.
IEP that have physical therapy.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have much of that?
There's definitely a number of students that
Is
have
it per hour?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we need
Waiting
a vote?
for a
we need
vote.
to vote, yep,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
thank you.
I need a resolution of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District to authorize district clerk to unseal and open the ballot box and destroy official ballots from the May 2019
Nope.
school board election and budget vote.
Yours should say June 2020.
No, it says May 2019.
Oh, that's my typo. That should say June.
Destroy them all.
It's in the first part, that's why. Okay.
Okay, did we get a motion?
We're going to amend that 2019 to 2020.
June 2020, as it says in 8.18. Sorry about that. I proofed this so many times, too.
So
Okay,
it's last year's.
Motion, Eric, I need a second. Tracy, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, discussion item.
Okay, so the first one, normally this, while it was a special night for recognizing our retirees, historically, this would have been the night that we would have started with a reception, and we would have had our retirees there, and we also have our 10-year appointments there. With it being the end of our COVID year, we did not move forward with that. But what I would like to recommend is if we could do that in September and still have a reception for our employees that received tenure. You know, we gave it to them in April, but it officially becomes effective in September, that we would still move forward with that celebration.
Meaning when we go back to normal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Didn't we used to, in September, have new teachers too, so could we include them in that?
New hires, yeah.
We can include new hires, sure.
We have,
We usually always do that in the, we do that in the summer with the new hires. We have a week with them, and then we do a special luncheon with them. But I'm more than happy to welcome them as part of this.
new hires too.
Yeah, we can add new hires, definitely.
That way we can meet the new teachers.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do anybody?
Yeah,
Right.
new faculty and staff, absolutely.
There are quite a few, so that's a good idea.
2 new principals, right? And
Let's hope.
hopefully.
And I would suggest you check out now if we can have edible masks. What does that mean?
That's funny.
Okay.
They make those? No, you know what? No.
I'm sure they do.
Okay, federal stimulus funds.
We could all celebrate.
Okay, so picking up from where we left off a couple weeks ago, talking a little bit about our federal stimulus. So moving forward, so what we've done now to date is really for our foundation is we worked with our internal stakeholders. So you asked tonight, Duncan, Todd and the principals, they have met with department teams, team leaders, starting to get feedback internally. So we used a lot of that information to create, and we worked with other districts looking at surveys that they were sending out to create our public input survey that went out today. We sent it to our students from middle and high school, all faculty and staff, all of our families. We send it to the board so you could see it and also give input that way. And we will put it on our website for any community members also. So that went out probably noonish. So we have 147 responses already. So I think that is good to give us some feedback. And so, I mean, you'll look at it, but really the feedback is we put it in categories. So, and we asked, and I'll list some of those categories in a minute, but we asked them to prioritize these categories based on how you believe funds should be allocated to best serve our students and school districts as we rebuild from the challenges of COVID-19. And we're asking them low priority, mid, or high priority. And then there's open-ended at the end of each of those sections so that they can build and provide some of their own input outside of some of the suggested areas. So some of the things we're looking at, as your reminder, we have 2 pots of money, to say it that way. One is the Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act, CRRSA, however we want to say all these. And that was $998,577. And we have the American Rescue Plan, the ARP, which is $2,688,066. So I believe I told you last time, the CRRSA money, the application was due the 15th. The state has extended that through the end of the month, but they also allowed school districts to request a month extension, so ours is due July 15th. We still do not have any information on the American Rescue Plan. That's not in our portal yet, and so we're still waiting. I know that the state government had to submit something to the federal government by June 7th, so we're still waiting for additional guidelines. We did have to submit assurances of promising, I think it was like 20 different questions of how the money would be spent. So that was done on time. So a little bit of the foundation, the categories that we're looking at right now. The categories we've put it under is facilities and operations. So some of the feedback includes outdoor teaching and eating spaces, and we've talked about right out here in the middle high school doing a nice patio area, so that would be an outside place. Some discussion on also having a second pavilion at the middle high school or behind the high school, and the Ellis Courtyard, doing work in there so that that is a usable space. And Ellis Windows is another area we're looking at to make sure that they are all, that they can be opened. So there's been some issues with some of the windows there. So some of this more in-depth has to be looked at, but this is gathering the feedback. And at the same time, Janet and Rich have been working with the architects because it's good to put things down, but we need to quantify a cost if we're going to do budgets that we have to submit. The good part is what I want to say to everyone is we can always do amendments. So while we have to do this initial budget that's multi-years, there will be amendments throughout the years where you'll say, we didn't decide to do it here, we're going to do it here, and we send that amendment in. Also under facilities is ventilation, air quality. These are just areas that we know we have issues the architect's looking at. That's some of the offices up there, a new air handler. The fitness room, air quality, we're looking at ventilation for the fitness room. There's 2 rooms at Ellis, and they're very small rooms. One was the PE office and another room. That has air quality. We are not using them currently because of an odor, and we've had architects look at it the last several years. But we've asked our new architects to really look at that, to how could we get those spaces back, and univent filters. So those are some of the things, and then we will add, as we get more feedback, to these categories. Under that also is technology upgrades. So some of the things that have been put under that is upgrading our phone system, the PA speakers at the middle school, high school, and wireless infrastructure. I'm looking at including updating the wireless in our fields and parking lots and access points. If we have these outdoor spaces, some smart boards that are able to be moved outside so that we have some technology for there. Looking at upgrading our oldest interactive boards in our classrooms, some network closet power supplies, and then just some things that have been put on as assistive technology, Wi-Fi on buses, more security cameras. So these are just some of the items under that category. And then learning loss is a big category, and they have requirements of how much of this money has to be spent for this purpose. So some of the things under that area right now are instructional coaches, and this is improved practices. They were looking at this at the elementary level. After school support, we're looking at late buses to be able to provide after school support. High impact tutoring, summer school, permanent sub. So the big caution, so we do have a couple things on here, is some of our part-time to full-time. So the big caution that the state is giving us, which I would say the same caution, is do not look at things that you have to sustain later on. They don't want to see you adding all these positions that then the budget, or then the cliff is there and now you're making cuts. So that's the cautions. So where there may be something that we put in, and because we have to put that on the website, this is our reason. We are planning to get this in the budget, and this is how we're going to do that. But that really has to be limited, not, so I mean, some of the things that we are getting are, you know, we need this position, we need this position. There's just so much of that we could even entertain at all. So that's our big caution. And another big category is mental health. And can we partner with community agencies to provide additional mental health support, and what could that look like, and what would we want it to look like? So those are our broad categories that we're looking at now. Those were the categories that were included in the survey. So we are waiting for that feedback. We're waiting to quantify some of these costs, and then we're going to start working on the budget.
Question, Tammy.
Yes.
So I heard you talk about learning loss and using some money to address that. Can you use money to address other areas of, sure I won't use the right word, but instruction? I mean, whether it's to either support or provide something additional for like kids who would be going through like an accelerated program or, you know, other.
They do talk about summer enrichment activities for students. That's on the list. So we would look at what kind of enrichment we could do there. Professional development, that under coaching, much more professional development too. We want to make an impact and have a return for this. And some of the capital work, most of these items are not aidable items. So we're not losing state aid if we put some of these here. And I would say it's a balance. This is a lot of money, and there's a way to balance it all among all of these categories that a lot of ways the taxpayers would pay for it in the future. That's what I'm looking at. Eric?
So like when John was saying that I already got a plasma cutter, and very quietly he said, and we make the space work, is there a way that we could, in terms of learning loss, apply monies to make his space more learning capable?
Well, I mean, after last month, or 2 weeks ago, Dave, I mean, all night I was thinking of Dave's conversation, and I mean, my mind was going because I agreed, how could we? Now, this money, you cannot do any new construction. They are asking, but that's what we have right now. So unless that changes, I couldn't say, let's put an addition somewhere.
But could you open up a wall and give them more room?
I don't, it's
small.
Yeah, and it's really, I don't know how we would do that without building out somewhere.
Okay.
And if you've been in there with students.
Or building up. That's what Janet asked, could it build up? So, and that would be architects. But I think there's a piece of that that would definitely part of the capital project too, that you just approved monies to go into that reserve, or capital reserve. I see a vote also that's going to be able to get a lot of the remaining work done. And I see that could be a piece, is how could we?
Well, what's our funding rate for capital projects?
So we got 2 million now in that capital reserve that the voters would have to vote what to use it for, but that would be at least $6 million based on our aid.
That's, you could do a lot for $6
Right.
million.
So I know there's a lot of work that needs to be earmarked for Ellis, but it also there are the few things here, and the storage building up there, I like your idea of how to make that a bigger space. We need to talk and think about it, but.
Well, the other reason I mentioned that, Tammy, is we're going to be, she just said it today, that we're going to be losing a tech teacher. And anybody that graduates in that field, I hear one of the things they're looking for now are outstanding facilities, because they have a choice. They can go anywhere, you know. So to get them, the timing is not going to be great for us, but maybe we could promise them that we're going to, here's a picture of our dream.
Well, we got a good one this year.
Yeah.
So I think, well, that's exciting. It's also the program that we have here too.
Right.
And D is all the way to the end of 22?
That's her plan right now, yep. Jay?
Just a follow-up question. Aside from the summer enrichment, what can be done during the school year? I mean, I mentioned accelerated, but like setting that aside, like in general during the school year, what can you use the money for to help improve outcomes and learning? And we've seen the test scores, and I know there's a lot going on to try to improve, you know, whether it's fundamentals or just, you know, other outcomes for reading and math, ELA and math skills. Can we use any of the money to support that effort during the school year?
Mm-hmm. Yes, you mean to get our grades up and everything? So we're talking about, obviously, after-school programs, we're talking about tutoring, and that can happen during the day when there's a free time. And so there's just so many things that we have to look at, and how can we do it? Hiring out, using existing staff, but we are open to all different ways and all different ideas of how we can help all of the students.
And those are things that we can use some of the federal money to support?
Yes.
Tammy, one of the things I wanted to mention was SCD came out with the results of their survey on it. And so on page 80, it talks about what parents are looking at. It groups them by the different groups, or it groups the comments. So parents are interested in increasing reading and writing skills with systematic monitoring of specific skills to assess growth of students in all early grades to ensure mastery. It's interesting because faculty is talking about librarians and having a library. District level administrators discuss their top comment is the need for culturally responsive education. Then board members talk about facilities needs post-pandemic. So, there's a very wide range. But I would encourage
there's a place
us.
for everything.
Right, yeah. But I would encourage us to really listen to the parents. Now, again, this is New York State parents that are saying reading and writing, but I think there was a lot of learning loss there. So.
Yeah, and to go along with Jay's comment, there's going to be learning loss at the lower levels of achievement, but there's also learning loss at the upper levels. And I think we need to not forget about
I agree.
the high flyers and see if we can, accentuate their education as well. And I can see a good program that's spent money on through this funding, if it becomes great in the 3 years we have, it's going to be easy to continue with as far as slipping it into the budget. But, something that's a catch-up thing, if it serves its purpose, then we don't need it anymore.
I mean, some of the things we're looking at is 3 years we're going to do
Right.
this coaching, and that's it.
Yeah.
And
I'm
what
interested
value
in
would
that.
we get from that? Just to follow up,
And when I just heard you say coaching, when you say coaching, you mean like professional development to the teachers so that they're
yes,
capable? Okay.
so that their practices
That would
improve.
be long-term effect, you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a
no,
great
if we
idea.
can do that lasts for years.
Right.
That's what I was trying to say was, trying to say, but not well at all, but, supporting learning at all, from the full spectrum, whether it's a child who really needs more support on the fundamental skills, to try to get up to where they should be for the grade, or a student on the opposite end of the spectrum who needs to be challenged, and everyone in between. If we can do something, across that spectrum with the federal money to support learning, I'd like to see that done. So I heard the answer already, I just didn't articulate what I was trying to get out very well.
Okay, good. Just as a follow-up from last time, we are working, Duncan had spoken to me after, is whether, and this would not be new learning, but this would be, can we maintain, and maybe not as much summer regression, that's the norm, as use some high school students. And so we are looking right now at what kind of interest we would pay high school students. They would be working with our teacher aides also, so that there would be adults also there, but it would be working at elementary level, reading and math, and just keeping them where we want them to be, whether it's reading, whether it's their math facts. So we are trying to get that going.
I thought it would serve two functions as far as I'm concerned. One, with the guidance of teachers, get them, and I actually apologize for maybe stepping on your comments last year about bad coaching last month, if you remember.
Yes.
With teacher guidance, working one-on-one with kids. My daughter did it at the request, or at the suggestion of one of her teachers when she was a junior. She actually tutored some kids. They were looking for some help, and one of her teachers, I've forgotten who, suggested to a parent, and she actually worked with these kids one summer. And I thought this would be a perfect way of doing it if we had sophomore or junior kids that their teachers knew had the temperament and whatever, and with guidance could help some of the kids in the elementary school especially, because that's the foundation. If we don't get those kids 3rd, 4th, 5th grade up to snuff pretty quick, they're going to be behind forever. Anything we can look at.
Yep, we're looking at it.
That way or some hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
Anything we can do this year, I'm total agreement. Anything we can do this summer is great. last summer was nothing for anybody. Everybody was really scared last summer.
Tammy, did I hear you say trying to get high school students to help?
Yes. So the guidance is going to be, Aaron's been working with the guidance counselor, so something should be going out if it hasn't.
That'd be great.
Yep.
And we can,
They have-
we can hire the kids.
Yeah,
Give
but
some of the kids something to do with the summer, 3 or 4 hours.
So far, we have 4. She's putting up 4.
what I was wondering is they have a community service requirement to graduate, don't they?
They do.
Could this satisfy that?
I don't see why it wouldn't. They're nodding yes.
Yeah, my son did it during school.
No, not if they got
Oh,
paid,
come
it
on.
wouldn't. So I would think they'd want to
They want paid.
get some paid.
But offer it. Offer it.
So we have other things.
One other thing I thought about with the stimulus funds, and one of your comments may negate the whole discussion, but I'm going to throw it out anyway. We've talked before about a reach out for the IB program. And we're the only ones around right now on this side of the river. I think Red Hook is the closest, and Albany would be the closest in the other direction. Is there any way we could use some of this to enhance that program and, make it available to other school districts in the area if they're interested, or make it available to those kids somehow?
So it can already be available because we have a co-share with Questar. I was sharing, I think it's actually with Eric, is in my mind, every school district is doing their own thing, that they have college credits. They're working to get their kids as many college credits. I really don't see that that they're going to send their kids here and pay tuition when they at their own local districts are graduating with 20 college credits. And while IB is great, I don't see that because we haven't drawn anyone. And we met with some superintendents a couple years ago. They all agreed it was a fantastic program, but at the end of the day, to send your students and pay for something when you have your own high, college credits at the end. That's my
Thought when I read it.
That's my thought,
Okay.
my belief, in talking with others. I think we're all, even Questar's, the new programs that we offered this year, they're college credits. And we have, I think, 3 kids that are going to be starting those programs. So. Okay, thank you. The next one, I asked Erin if she would join, and she would talk about our exciting moving forward with pre-K.
So for years, Greenville Central School District has partnered with community-based organizations, or CBOs, to offer universal pre-K to 4-year-olds living within the district boundaries. So universal pre-K is a state government-funded program that's free for those that are enrolled in it. So in previous years, the district has basically functioned as like a flow-through for the grant funds. And the funds are aimed at supporting the UPK students that attend the half-day program at our community CBOs. So the district has been able to offer 37 half-day slots based on the grant funding, and they've partnered with a variety of CBOs over the years. So while the funding has remained constant this year, due to COVID restrictions, our current community partner, United Methodist Church, had to limit the number of slots that they could fill in order to have it be a safe program. And they limited it to 15 slots in the morning and 15 slots in the afternoon. So this funding, which I'm going to refer to kind of as the old money, for universal pre-K is scheduled to stay constant for next year. However, there's this exciting opportunity based on some new UPK money or an expansion grant. This new money is being made available to districts who have had UPK as well as districts who have not had UPK in the past. And it's earmarked to support new 4-year-old UPK programs for full-day seats. So our UPK has always been in a half-day program. This new money can only be used for full day. It's supported by federal funds for the 21-22 year, and then it will be split between federal and state funds for the 22-23 and the 23-24 school year. And then it is scheduled to be fully funded by the state in 24-25. So as I said, this funding is only for full-day slots for 4-year-old, and districts need to submit an application to the Office of Early Learning by July 31st, 2021. So it's our hope that this additional funding is going to help us really grow our UPK program. So it's allowing the district to explore the possibility of providing full-day UPK programming. And so after attending some informational webinars, engaging in discussions with Mr. Mahan, our elementary principal, and Corey Litchko, the director at UMC UPK, as well as Lynette Terrell, our registrar, we've surveyed parents, UPK parents, regarding their interest in a full-day program at UMC UPK, as well as whether they would be interested in a full-day program at Scott Amelis. By regulations, a full-day program of UPK would be 5 hours, 5 days a week, for at least 180 days. So while we're still working out the details, at this time it's very exciting that we are moving forward with offering this full-day option, both at UMC as well as at Scott Amelis. So parents are currently being contacted to let them know that we're transitioning to a full-day program, but also to gauge their preference regarding which location they would prefer their child to be enrolled in. So having a full-day UPK program on site, is, as well as our community partner, is really something that has been discussed and explored for years. So this expansion grant is really allowing this to become a reality. The grant is covering most of the expenses. The district will use some year-end funds to purchase any necessary items such as furniture or supplies. So that's kind of an overview of the UPK funding. Do you have any questions? Eric?
So I'm getting older, so sometimes things don't go in as well. But I heard the old money is still going to be there, and this is new money?
The old money is still there, and that money we will need to access first. That money can be used for half-day programming or full-day programming. Once we use all of our old money,
Right.
then we can start to tap in the new money, the expansion grant.
So
But
the old,
that money can only be used for full-day programs.
so the old money was for 37 seats,
Correct.
and UMC only has 30 seats, 15 and 15?
This year, they only wanted to have 30.
So next year, they're going to go back to 37?
Some
or-
of that will depend on guidance that is given regarding COVID restrictions.
Right.
They are looking to go to a full-day program as well. So that's 37 half-day slots. So they would be looking to do a full-day program.
So they want, so, please bear with me. So you're going to have 37 of the old style, and then a new style added in.
So we've considered it 37 half-day slots, but you can also convert that to full-day slots. So you could
Okay.
say it's 18.5 in the old grant.
Okay.
The regulations, if you have up to 18 students in your class, you need a certified teacher and a para professional.
Okay.
If you have 19 to 20 students, you need a teacher and 2 paraprofessionals. So some of that will, how many slots a program takes will be somewhat dependent upon whether they want to cross that threshold of 18.
Okay. Okay.
Duncan?
Do you have any idea about the possible size of the 4-year-old
population that we would be dealing with?
Well, Lynette knows how many families have committed so far. There are a few more families that she's been told will be committing to the program. And she's in the process, she started making phone calls late last week and today, talking to the families that have already committed, but then also reaching out to the other eligible UPK families to see if this change in the full-day programming would change their decision regarding enrolling their child.
You didn't answer my question.
How many right now have committed? How many right now have committed?
No, that's not
No?
so many. Is there a potential that we won't be able to handle all the kids that want to come?
I don't believe so.
You don't believe so? Okay. Is there a potential that we would have more than UMC or United, UMC, is it UMC? Yeah. Could handle, or that we would have more interest in Scott Ellis than we could handle?
So we discussed that's a possibility, and one of the things when we surveyed parents was asking them in that survey what their preference would be. And because UMC offers wraparound care, there's a good number of families that would like their child to attend UMC. Likewise, there's a good number of families that would like their child to attend Scott M. Ellis because their other children attend the elementary school. Where possible, we're going to allow, we will follow their preference.
I'm not trying to manage this. I'm just concerned about the potential that we could have some aggravation develop, one way or the other. You don't think we would go over the total number of students, so that's great. That's one aggravation that I'm not concerned with.
I would be thrilled if we are able to fill both these rooms. What we've always done with UPK historically, when we've had more people interested than slots available, is a lottery. And that's what UPK dictates. If we have to go to a lottery system, I think that's going to be a good problem to have. Right now, while we have families that are committed, we don't even have enough to fill the original 37 half-day slots.
Okay. Now, my only other concern is when we first discussed this at our last meeting, I think June 1st, was it? We were looking to see if we had space at Scott S.L. Obviously, that's been solved. We have space. We have a room that we can use.
We have one classroom that Peter will be able to free up.
That's been solved. All right, thank you.
I dream also of a pre-K edition too someday. Behind Ellis.
Behind the tech room.
Dream big, yeah, behind the tech room, behind the tech room.
Yeah, we can build him a bathroom. Aaron, I have a couple questions. Is Corey interested in, you said that she wants to go full day, right? But
Correct.
she's not interested in being part of a partnership where one of us would be half-day. Maybe she would want to continue half-day, and then we could do the 5-hour. If you don't know the answer to that.
That was something that was talked about early on. I think that creates some advantages, but it also creates some challenges.
Yeah.
And not knowing whether there would be enough interest to support the half-day versus the full day. It's just hard to know, and we wouldn't want to do anything that was going to hurt our community partner who's been providing the service. When I initially reached out and spoke to her and just tried to talk about what are some of the possibilities, she very quickly liked the idea of doing a full-day program.
Well, it's kind of, 5 hours.
Correct.
And then there's a continuance up there, right? As far as the daycare component. And I'm hearing, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're not going to offer that.
No.
That's I think, going to be a limiting factor, don't you? Because certainly some parents will be looking for their child being there beyond 5 hours.
Correct, which is why we're trying.
So you could decide who goes where, maybe.
Right, so if a family tells us their preference is UMC because of the wraparound
Right,
service,
right.
and then those families would go to UMC. And if we have to go to a lottery situation, and we have done this in years past, the first one, number one, what's their preference?
Okay.
They go there. The second one in the lottery, what's their preference? They go there or they go there. And then when you get down and you filled all your slots at one location or the other, if you're low enough in the lottery or further enough down the lottery, you may not get your
The choice is made for you. District kids only
correct.
because of the
District
funding?
I'm sorry.
Because of the funding?
Correct. The
Yeah.
grant can be used for students that reside in the district, and there will be no transportation provided at either location.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was the next question, no transportation.
That is correct.
So would the hours at Scott M. Ellis be offset enough so that we wouldn't conflict with the buses?
That's exactly what we're looking at. We're looking at sandwiching those 5 hours in between our AM bus and PM bus run so that we don't conflict with our own
Oh, pickup and drop-offs?
pick up and drop off. And in speaking to UMC, that timeframe works best for them as well, because they have parents that are dropping off, picking up, and needing to get home to receive their elementary child off the bus.
Right.
So she indicated to me that that timeframe works for them as well, although the two times do not need to be exact.
Do you know her population up there? Is it mainly all, all the people are, oh no, it can't because of what you said that there's 37 half-day, so the kids must rotate in and out of there, right?
They
Or,
have a program in the morning where students come in the morning.
and then they go to daycare, those kids, or?
Some are picked up and go home,
Okay.
and some go to care, and then they have an afternoon class where parents drop off and then pick up in the afternoon, or if the child is in wraparound care in the morning, they go in the afternoon.
And there'd be no way to know, to forecast that for this coming year, right? As far as,
Some guesses, but each year, it's really dependent upon the families of those 4-year-olds and what their family
Right.
situation is.
right. Thank you.
Okay.
It's, I find it to be very exciting. This is something that has been talked about for years. So this funding is really allowing us to do something that we haven't been able to do before.
I'm in full support of having it on our campus.
Yep, we have definitely wanted it, so we have been busy.
We never doubted it.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you.
Any input items for discussion at the next meeting? Anybody would like to talk about?
I only have one. I'm wondering if we're gonna get a report on any student data that's been created to let us know what the gaps are, whether it be, well, I don't know how many, well, whatever the source is.
Right, so our next meeting is supposed to be, we did the improvement calendar, so you're going to get the building profiles, you're going to get all of that
Okay,
data
excellent.
at that meeting, and we're going to talk about that in preparation for our goals.
Tammy, as part of that, is there any type of assessment data for K through 2? Does anything exist? Like, how do we know? what the-
Yes, I'll let Dan talk to it, because he's not in for me.
Yeah, we do. We use a program called ESPI, which was actually brought in by one of our kindergarten teachers, who was really able to look at it as, here's a way for us to gauge foundational skills. We're all counting, letter ID, letter recognition. So we can go through that and give you some kind of compiled information. Right now, it's on an individual basis, and we're really kind of looking at it on an individual level, but we can certainly compile some of that information. For kindergarten, as well as first grade through middle of the year. What we look to do is transition first graders onto iReady at the end of the year and take any students who did not get a 4, it's on a 4-point scale, who did not receive a 4 on any of the ESPI sub-tests. We have one of our AIS members go in and just make sure that that student has those foundational skills. So kindergarten for sure, and we'll be able to give you first grade through the middle of the year.
Okay. It's, it's a question, I'm not expecting an answer, but I just throw it out as we think about federal funds. iReady goes goes all the way down to K. So I don't know if that is something to put on the list to possibly be investigated. I don't know the benefits of it or anything else. I just know it exists.
So there might be some. The problem with iReady that we always run into is you can't look at what a student got wrong and right in an assessment. Whereas on ESGI, it's done face-to-face with either the teacher or one of our AIS
Okay.
professionals, and they are cataloging. They're both looking at screens, and a letter will pop up the screen. For instance, what letter do you see? The student answers, and they were able to track correct, incorrect throughout that process 3 times a year. Pass that data off to the classroom teacher who can either work themselves or with a TA to go over those specific letters we just mentioned, those specific numbers we just mentioned.
Okay.
So it's a little bit more useful. It also allows the teacher and the student to have some of that engagement time. Students really look forward to, at the end of ESGI, puts up this little pie chart, how many letters they got right. Kids, they were actually really nervous the first year of showing that to students. Kids love it. Kids love seeing how much green that they're getting and seeing themselves increase every time their progress monitored on it. So it's really something that the kindergarten team, in particular, and first grade team wants to do.
Okay.
Because it's just useful information. And then transitioning the students in the spring onto iReady really is more or less a chance for them to get used to the system. So when they start in 2nd grade, we're making sure that we get accurate data. They're used to clicking on iReady, they know the setup, they know the system, and they can jump in, and we can kind of ensure that we get more accurate data at the beginning of the semester.
Okay. Thank you.
Dan, what's our history with that format? Is it used for the first year this year, or?
ESGI?
Yeah.
ESGI has been with us about as long as we've had iReady.
Okay, so,
After we shifted out of Aimsweb, the paper and pencil version, we started to go in 2 different directions. What they really liked about Aimsweb was seeing the paper, knowing what each kid got, which is a little bit out of our hands when it comes to iReady. So those shifts happened at about the same time. Again, one of our kindergarten teachers came across it, loved it, was using it for progress monitoring in the classroom anyways, realized that we could spread it across all of them.
my question was only whether or not you were gonna be able to provide comparable data to see if, where we're at.
Yeah, it's, no, it's really those foundational skills. Again, letter sounds, letter identification, number identification, building into some sight words, which does go into iReady in 2nd grade when we're looking at those really foundational skills, phonics, phonemic awareness, high frequency words. That's really what it tackles. So when you see that report for a 2nd grader or a 3rd grader, or if you remember at the middle school, it would always say like test it out for those kids. That's why we're able to really work with those kids on the individual skills that they need by using ESGI, but it does translate into iReady in regards to those 3 foundational skills.
All right.
Closing open forum, 15-minute. Does anyone would like to have any comments?
While Daphne's looking, I just want to thank Dan. Dan's name was on our personnel agenda, I'm sad to say, and I think just tonight you saw the valuable foundation he has left for Greenville. So I thank him for the years that he has given to this district and how much he has put into our students. So thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everything that I have given is because of the people that I work with who have gotten me to that level. When I think about, any new hires coming in, they have the best set of mentors available. Working with this team, I came in as an intern. I got to work with these people all around us, and that's what is responsible for what you heard tonight, or anything that I've been able to give is really credit to this.
Could you give us 30 seconds on the value of coming in as an intern as opposed to going out and hiring, quote unquote, specifically for a job?
I'll sit here for 25 seconds and I give you that. What was the value?
Yes.
The reason
put that kind of a concept into our planning for the future? Why did you come as an intern and,
That's really why.
but where were you?
I was at State Ed.
You were what?
I was at State Ed. So I was, if you remember a couple of years ago, gosh, probably 6 or 7 years ago now, there was that bubble, those bubble years. And every year for about 3 years, my instructional administrator called me and said, "You're on the bubble. Okay, the budget passed, you're good." And then the last year, he said, "There's no more bubble. You're gone at the end of this year." So for me, as somebody who grew up without a ton, I need a job. I need money. I need to pay my rent. So I went, that day that he told me, I went and started applying for State Ed jobs. Got this job at Office of State Assessment, making what is now the English Regents. So we got to make the blueprint. It was great. You know, we're surrounded by books. We get to look at passages. English teacher's dream until you realize that every 3 months this thing starts over again and you're making a test. So I started taking admin classes, and this guy gives me a call and tells me about the job, and came in as an intern. The best part about this is, you know, I got to do all my internship here, and I got to take part in everything and learn about everything. And that might not be true for all interns. You know, a homeless youth liaison, and attendance, and RTI, which was this term that was being, you know, tossed around at the time. So I guess that would be the benefit as an intern coming in. You can throw them into every single aspect of what they're doing, and they're coming in without knowing any better. Detrimental as well, right? If a person is coming in from being at another district, they're coming in with some other great ideas from that other district too. So I think there's going to be pros and cons to either direction that you go in. Again, it is the team that is going to make that person as good as they can possibly be, and working with district, because it did it for me, so it's going to do it for the next.
Thank you.
That was more than 30 seconds.
And good luck in your new position.
Yeah.
Stay in touch.
That's what I told these guys. I'm like, I'm not dying.
Okay, nothing, Daphne?
Nothing. Let me double check again. I have nothing on email, and just a few people on Meet, so
Nope.
yeah, we're good.
I need a motion to adjourn to executive session,
I have Duncan and Tracy.
after which we will return to public session and no decisions will be made. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. 8:02.
Like, can we really say no?
No.